Welcome to our journey into the deep and dark ocean. Close your eyes and prepare for a very restful sleep. Breathe slowly as we leave the busy surface world behind. Gentle waves lap against the hull of our research vessel. The bright moon casts silver light over the calm water. Stars shine clearly in the vast and empty night sky. Cool breezes sweep across the open expanse of the sea. You are safe and secure inside our advanced submersible craft. We will soon begin our long descent into the abyss. Let your muscles relax as the gentle rocking motions fade. The heavy steel hatch seals shut with a quiet thud. Our vessel slowly slips beneath the calm and quiet surface. Tiny bubbles drift upward as we begin our downward journey. The bright moonlight fades quickly as we sink deeper now. Blue water surrounds the thick glass of our viewing port. We drop steadily through the warm layers of the ocean. Surface noises disappear completely into a vast and silent void. A profound sense of peace washes over your tired mind. The water outside turns from bright blue to dark indigo. We are entering the mysterious twilight zone of the sea. Sunlight struggles to penetrate this dense layer of ocean water. Only faint rays of illumination reach this lonely middle depth. Shadows grow longer as we leave the familiar world above. The ambient temperature begins to drop with every passing meter. We pass the depth of 200 meters quite smoothly. Strange silhouettes glide silently past our thick acrylic observation window. These elusive creatures avoid the harsh glare of our lights. The pressure outside increases steadily as we continue moving downward. Our sturdy cabin protects us from the crushing external forces. You feel entirely weightless as the submarine glides ever deeper. We reach 500 meters below the active ocean surface. The surrounding fluid is now a thick and heavy black. Faint flashes of bioluminescence sparkle like tiny stars out there. Deep sea jellies pulse slowly in the cold dark currents. Their glowing bodies provide brief moments of soft blue light. We sink past the depth of 1,000 meters now. The midnight zone welcomes us with its permanent absolute darkness. No solar radiation has ever touched this deep aquatic realm. The surrounding temperature drops to a mere 4 degrees Celsius. A cold chill permeates the vast volume of this ocean. We descend further into the uncharted territories of the abyss. The depth gauge reads 1,500 meters below the waves. Pressure reaches 150 atmospheres at this level. Water density increases significantly in this incredibly hostile deep environment. Yet life finds a way to thrive in the shadows. Microscopic organisms drift aimlessly through the frigid and still water. Marine snow falls gently like winter flurries in the dark. These tiny organic particles provide food for deep-sea residents. You watch the white specks swirl in our floodlight beams. A hypnotic rhythm takes over your slowly relaxing physical body. We are approaching a depth of 2,000 meters now. The immense weight of the ocean presses from all sides. 200 atmospheres of pressure squeeze the hull around us. The titanium sphere holds firm against the massive crushing force. You remain perfectly comfortable inside our warm and dry cabin. We travel toward a specific geological feature on the seafloor. The East Pacific Rise stretches across the dark ocean bottom. This underwater mountain range hides many incredible biological secrets today. Tectonic plates pull apart slowly along this massive volcanic ridge. Magma bubbles beneath the thin crust of the ocean floor. We reach our target depth of 2,500 meters. The submarine hovers gracefully just above the rocky basalt terrain. Our external lights illuminate a stark and barren alien landscape. Jagged black rocks jut upward from the sandy ocean floor. The ambient water temperature hovers just above the freezing point. It is exactly 2 degrees Celsius in this dark sector. The pressure here is 250 times greater. It equals the weight of a commercial airplane pressing down. Most biological life cannot survive these incredibly harsh physical conditions. Yet we are searching for a true marvel of nature. We slowly navigate the submarine over the rough volcanic terrain. Sonar pings softly as we map the uneven rocky surface. A faint thermal anomaly appears on our internal sensor displays. The water temperature ahead is rising by a few degrees. Shimmering waves of heat distort the view through our window. We are approaching an active deep-sea hydrothermal vent field. Tall chimneys of rock emerge from the gloomy ocean floor. These natural towers vent superheated fluids from the earth below. Thick black smoke billows from the top of the structures. They are known to scientists as deep marine black smokers. Mineral-rich water blasts upward into the freezing abyssal ocean. The fluid leaving the vent is 350 degrees. It does not boil because of the immense hydrostatic pressure. The sudden cooling creates a dense cloud of dark particles. Iron and sulfur precipitate rapidly out of the superheated fluid. These minerals build the towering chimneys over many long years. Some structures reach heights of nearly 15 meters or more. The surrounding area is bathed in a warm chemical soup. This toxic environment seems completely inhospitable to all organic life. However, this vent field is actually a bustling biological oasis. We bring the submarine closer to the towering black smokers. The lights reveal thick carpets of life covering the rocks. Giant tube worms sway gently in the warm ocean currents. Their bright red plumes filter chemicals from the murky water. White crabs scuttle blindly across the jagged mineral chimney walls. Yellow mussels cling tightly to the warm crevices in clusters. Bacteria form thick fleshy mats over the dark basalt stones. These microbes use hydrogen sulfide to produce pure biological energy. This unique process is called chemosynthesis by modern ocean scientists. It replaces photosynthesis in this world entirely devoid of sunlight. We scan the perimeter of this vibrant deep-sea community. A massive cloud of movement catches our attention just ahead. Millions of tiny shapes dart through the warm, shimmering water. They form a dense living wall around the hydrothermal vents. We have finally located the magnificent and elusive vent krill. These swarming giants of the abyss dominate this local ecosystem. Their scientific name is Euphorsia volcanica in the biological registry. They are much larger than their shallow water krill cousins. An adult vent krill reaches almost 10 centimeters in length. Their pale bodies are perfectly adapted to the eternal darkness. The krill swim continuously in a highly synchronized circular pattern. They create a mesmerizing vortex of motion around the chimney. Their translucent shells reflect the bright beams of our floodlights. You can see their internal organs working through their armor. A faint orange glow emanates from their tiny digestive tracts. This color comes from the specialized bacteria they consume daily. The vent krill graze constantly on the thick microbial mats. They use feathery appendages to scrape food from the rocks. Their legs move in a rapid and rhythmic sweeping motion. Watching them feed is a deeply calming and peaceful experience. The swarm moves as a single unified fluid biological entity. They shift directions instantly without ever colliding with each other. This collective behavior helps them avoid the boiling vent fluids. They must stay in the warm zone to survive here. The water right next to the chimney is 30 degrees. Just 1 meter away the temperature drops to 2 degrees. The krill navigate this extreme thermal gradient with absolute precision. They dance along the invisible border of heat and cold. Their delicate antennae sense minute changes in the water temperature. This sensory input keeps the entire swarm perfectly positioned safely. The ambient pressure does not bother these deep-sea crustaceans. Their bodies lack the gas pockets that would compress easily. Solid tissues and fluids withstand the 250 atmospheres. They exist in perfect equilibrium with the crushing ocean depth. We hover silently and observe their endless graceful swimming routines. The sheer number of individuals in the swarm is staggering. Biologists estimate there are over 10 million krill present here. They fill the water column like a massive living blizzard. The gentle hum of our submarine engines matches their rhythm. You feel your breathing synchronize with their slow swirling movements. The vent krill play a crucial role in this environment. They are the primary consumers of the abundant bacterial mats. By eating microbes they transfer energy up the food chain. Larger predators rely entirely on these krill for their survival. Blind octopuses occasionally glide through the dense crustacean swarm cloud. Pale eelpouts wait patiently near the rocky chimney base. Yet the massive swarm easily absorbs these minor predatory losses. Their immense population numbers guarantee the survival of the species. The vent field provides an endless supply of bacterial food. This ecosystem has thrived in darkness for many thousand years. We watch a small group of krill approach the glass. Their huge compound eyes are completely blind in this darkness. They rely entirely on touch and chemical signals to navigate. Long sensory hairs cover their entire pale armored outer shell. These hairs detect the smallest vibrations in the surrounding water. They sense the gentle currents created by our hovering submarine. A few individuals gently bump against the thick acrylic window. They quickly dart away back into the safety of numbers. The entire swarm pulses like a giant beating aquatic heart, expanding and contracting in a slow and very steady rhythm. The East Pacific rise remains a place of profound mystery. We have only explored a tiny fraction of its length. Countless other vent fields remain hidden in the endless dark. Each one might host its own unique species of krill. The deep ocean holds many secrets waiting to be discovered. But tonight we simply observe the beauty of this place. The violent geological forces create a sanctuary for delicate life. Extreme heat and crushing pressure combine to support this oasis. It is a perfect balance of destructive and creative energy. The vent krill represent the resilient spirit of the abyss. Their pale bodies glow softly in the artificial submarine lights. Shadows dance widely across the towering black smoke and mineral chimneys. The thick black smoke continues to billow into the water. It disperses slowly into the freezing ocean currents far above. The krill swim tirelessly through the warm chemical-rich haze. Their continuous motion creates a soothing and repetitive visual pattern. You can almost hear the silent rushing of their legs. A profound stillness exists just beyond the reach of light. The surrounding ocean is a vast and empty liquid void. This isolated vent field is a rare beacon of activity. We dim the exterior lights to observe their natural state. The absolute darkness of the deep ocean instantly returns here. However, the vent field is not entirely pitch black now. A very faint infrared glow radiates from the hottest rocks. Our specialized thermal cameras capture this invisible spectrum of light. The krill possess specialized organs to detect this thermal radiation. They use this faint heat signature to avoid boiling zones. It guides them safely through the treacherous dark vent labyrinth. Their survival depends on this incredible biological thermal sensing ability. They are true masters of this extreme deep-sea environment. We will remain here for a while to study them. You can let your mind drift with the swirling swarm. The deep ocean is a place of ultimate quiet rest. No sunlight or surface storms can ever reach this depth. The water remains perfectly still and calm all year round. Allow the peaceful isolation of the abyss to surround you. The vent krill will continue their endless dance until dawn. Their gentle movements invite you to fall into deep sleep. Rest now in the safe embrace of the silent sea. Tomorrow we will explore more of this fascinating underwater world. The vent krill reaches an impressive 15 centimeters in length. This remarkable measurement dwarfs ordinary shallow water crustacean species completely. An adult specimen weighs approximately 40 grams at full maturity. Their substantial mass requires significant caloric intake near the vents. Scientists classify them as the largest known euphausiids on Earth. A robust body frame supports their survival under immense pressure. Deep ocean gigantism explains their unusually massive physical biological proportions. Females generally grow slightly larger than their male biological counterparts. This size difference allows females to carry more developing eggs. Newborn larvae measure merely 2 millimeters during their initial stage. Rapid growth phases expand their bodies throughout the first year. The dense aquatic environment dictates their streamlined and elongated shape. Their overall volume displaces a considerable amount of seawater daily. A heavy build prevents them from drifting away from vents. Their physical dimensions adapt perfectly to the extreme benthic environment. Researchers often mistake them for small prawns due to size. A thick muscular structure accounts for most of their weight. This dense muscle tissue provides necessary strength for continuous swimming. Their physical bulk retains essential internal heat near thermal vents. Massive size grants them dominance over smaller competing vent invertebrates. A rigid chitinous exoskeleton entirely covers their fragile internal organs. This protective outer layer contains high concentrations of calcium carbonate. Deep sea pressures compress the shell into a dense armor. The carapace thickness measures roughly 3 millimeters across the back. Iron sulfide deposits from vent fluids harden the external cuticle. This metallic reinforcement provides defense against sharp volcanic rock edges. The shell surface feels unusually rough to the human touch. Microscopic ridges along the back reduce water friction during movement. These tiny grooves also trap insulating layers of warm water. Specialized pores in the exoskeleton excrete waste fluids continuously outward. The chitin matrix remains slightly flexible around the abdominal joints. This flexibility allows rapid tail flicks to evade unseen predators. A waxy outer coating prevents corrosive vent acids from penetrating. This chemical barrier protects the delicate epidermal tissues underneath completely. The exoskeleton absorbs dissolved minerals directly from the surrounding water. Heavy calcification makes their shells sink quickly after a molt. The discarded husks provide essential nutrients to benthic ocean scavengers. Their armor withstands water temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius locally. Structural integrity remains uncompromised even at 3,000 meters down. This resilient casing defines their evolutionary success in the abyss. Vent krill display a ghostly pale and mostly translucent appearance. The absence of sunlight renders dark skin pigmentation completely unnecessary. A faint milky white hue dominates their primary body coloration. Certain angles of light reveal subtle iridescent blue surface reflections. The cephalothorax features a distinct reddish tint near the center. This crimson stain originates from iron-rich diets they consume. Hemoglobin within their blood also contributes to this pinkish glow. Their translucent nature allows researchers to observe internal organ functions. Extreme depths strip away the need for complex camouflage patterns. A lack of melanin leaves their tissues vulnerable to ultraviolet. Fortunately, no ultraviolet radiation ever reaches their deep abyssal habitat. The pale coloration blends perfectly with white bacterial mats nearby. Some older individuals develop a yellowish tinge along their flanks. Sulfur compounds from the hydrothermal vents cause this gradual discoloration. The transparent tail section looks almost like clear sculpted glass. Light from submersibles passes directly through their thin abdominal segments. Their unique optical properties hide them from passing deep predators. A soft ambient glow often surrounds their pale swimming bodies. This visual transparency requires highly specialized cellular structures to maintain. The ghostly white swarms resemble underwater blizzards against dark rocks. The cephalothorax fuses the head and thorax into one unit. This unified frontal segment houses the most vital biological systems. A prominent dorsal shield protects the delicate brain and heart. The carapace extends downward to cover the fragile respiratory gills. A sharp rostrum projects forward from the very front edge. This pointed beak helps them navigate through dense bacterial clusters. The lower margins of the carapace feature tiny serrated teeth. These microscopic spikes deter small parasites from attaching to them. A distinct cervical groove separates the head from the thorax. This indentation marks the boundary between different internal organ groups. The dorsal surface arches upward in a smooth aerodynamic curve. This sleek profile minimizes resistance against strong hydrothermal fluid currents. Symmetrical patterns of sensory pits dot the entire carapace surface. These shallow depressions detect subtle changes in local water pressure. The frontal shield remains surprisingly tough despite its thin appearance. A specialized hinge connects the carapace to the abdominal section. This joint allows limited vertical movement of the entire head. The lateral sides bulge outward to accommodate large stomach chambers. A clear fluid fills the space between shell and organs. This liquid layer acts as a vital internal shock absorber. 6 distinct articulated segments comprise the powerful rear abdominal section. Each segment overlaps the next like ancient medieval plate armor. Strong internal ligaments bind these overlapping plates securely together always. The first 5 segments share a similar uniform cylindrical shape. The 6th segment grows noticeably longer and thinner than others. This elongated final piece connects directly to the tail fan. The tail fan consists of a central telson and uropods. These flat appendages spread outward to create a broad paddle. Thick bundles of striated muscle run through the entire abdomen. This musculature provides the primary driving force for rapid swimming. A sudden contraction snaps the tail forward with incredible speed. This backward escape reflex saves them from sudden thermal eruptions. The ventral side of each segment features a protective sternite. These rigid belly plates shield the delicate nerve cord underneath. Flexible pleural membranes connect the hard upper and lower plates. This soft tissue permits a wide range of body contortions. The abdomen can curl completely underneath the main body carapace. Small articulating nodes prevent the segments from hyperextending backward. The smooth outer surface of the abdomen reflects submersible lights. Their segmented design represents a marvel of natural mechanical engineering. 2 pairs of long antennae protrude from the frontal head. The primary antennae reach lengths exceeding their entire body size. These sweeping sensory organs measure up to 20 centimeters long. The secondary antennae remain much shorter and slightly more rigid. Both pairs feature thousands of microscopic delicate sensory hair structures. These delicate setae detect dissolved chemicals in the surrounding water. Chemoreceptors on the hairs locate rich hydrogen sulfide vent plumes. The antennae constantly sweep through the dark water in rhythm. This continuous motion builds a detailed chemical map of surroundings. A specialized basal joint allows the antennae to rotate freely. Mechanoreceptors along the shaft sense minute vibrations from approaching animals. The krill use their antennae to maintain safe swarming distances. If an antenna breaks, a new one regenerates upon molting. The regenerated appendage often appears slightly paler than the original. Dense clusters of sensory hairs also line their mouth parts. These oral setae taste the bacterial food before actual ingestion. The antennae remain highly sensitive to sudden extreme temperature shifts. This thermal detection prevents them from swimming into boiling water. The long whips trail gracefully behind them as they swim. Their sensory array compensates entirely for the lack of sunlight. The vent krill possesses highly unusual and specialized compound eyes. Unlike surface species, their eyes lack traditional black pigment entirely. The optical organs appear as pale glowing spheres on stalks. These eye stalks extend slightly beyond the protective frontal carapace. Each compound eye contains hundreds of individual crystalline armatidia units. The lenses are exceptionally large to capture minimal available light. They cannot see detailed images in the utterly dark abyss. Instead, their vision detects faint infrared radiation from hydrothermal vents. The glowing magma beneath the crust emits a dim luminescence. This thermal glow guides the krill toward nutrient-rich zones. A reflective tapetum layer sits behind the primary optical nerves. This reflective internal tissue bounces captured photons back through receptors. The adaptation maximizes visual sensitivity in the extreme dark environment. Their eyes also perceive the blue bioluminescence of other creatures. The spherical shape provides a wide field of visual awareness. A thin transparent membrane protects the delicate lenses from debris. The eye stalks can retract slightly when facing strong currents. Vestigial color receptors suggest their ancestors once lived near surfaces. Now, they only process varying intensities of gray and red. Their ghostly eyes constantly scan the dark horizon for signals. 6 pairs of specialized feeding legs attach to the thorax. Scientists refer to these intricate grasping limbs as the pariapods. The front pairs form a complex woven biological filtering structure. Long feathery bristles cover every segment of these feeding legs. These bristles interlock to create a dense microscopic biological net. As they swim, the net captures drifting clumps of bacteria. The feeding basket constantly sweeps particles toward the central mouth. Tiny claws at the tips scrape minerals from vent chimneys. The joints of the pariapods articulate with precise mechanical efficiency. A specialized gland secretes mucus onto the leg bristle network. This sticky fluid helps trap the smallest floating organic particles. The rear feeding legs assist in grooming the delicate gills. They meticulously brush away accumulated toxic ash from their bodies. Strong mandibles sit just behind the primary leg basket structure. These hardened jaws crush the tough exterior of mineralized bacteria. The feeding limbs move in a rapid and hypnotic rhythm. This continuous motion requires immense amounts of sustained cellular energy. The legs appear fragile but withstand significant environmental physical stress. Their pale coloration matches the rest of the translucent body. These intricate appendages ensure their survival in a barren wasteland. 5 pairs of swimming legs line the lower abdominal segments. These vital locomotive appendages are scientifically known as the pleopods. Each pleopod features 2 flat, wide branches for continuous swimming. Fringes of stiff hair increase the surface area of paddles. The swimming legs beat in a synchronized and flowing wave. This metachronal rhythm propels the heavy creature smoothly forward continuously. The movement creates a gentle current along their soft underbelly. This internally generated flow constantly bathes their exposed external gills. The gills attach directly to the bases of the legs. They resemble complex branching trees made of soft white tissue. A highly folded surface maximizes oxygen extraction from the water. The gills also absorb vital dissolved sulfides for symbiotic bacteria. Blood flowing through the gills appears pale blue when oxygenated. This specialized biological blood relies on copper instead of iron. The bare gills remain completely exposed below the protective carapace. This exposure allows maximum chemical exchange in the vent plumes. The swimming legs never stop beating throughout their entire lives. A ceaseless swimming motion prevents them from sinking into darkness. Special muscles control the precise angle of each leg stroke. They can hover perfectly still by balancing their leg thrusts. The translucent shell reveals the dark mass of the hepatopancreas. This vital digestive organ occupies most of the upper cephalothorax. A slender tubular heart beats visibly just above the stomach. The heart pulses roughly 60 times per minute in adults. A pale nerve cord runs along the entire ventral floor. 10 spherical luminescent organs decorate their lower ventral body surfaces. These specialized photophores emit a steady and calming blue glow. A complex chemical reaction involving luciferin generates this beautiful light. Tiny internal muscular lenses help focus the emitted bioluminescent beams. The glow helps maintain swarm cohesion in the absolute darkness. Each photophore features a reflective backing to direct light downward. This downward illumination counteracts the faint glow of the vents. The luminous organs sit precisely between the swimming leg bases. 2 additional photophores reside within the stalks of the eyes. The intensity of their light shifts with their metabolic state. A fully nourished krill produces a much brighter blue aura. The internal stomach contents often glow green from consumed bacteria. Their entire body functions as a complex abyssal living machine. Every physical trait serves a specific purpose for abyssal survival. The vent krill remains a beautifully adapted giant crustacean marvel. Vent krill survive entirely without the warmth of the sun. They rely exclusively on chemical energy from the ocean floor. Hydrothermal vents release massive plumes of dark mineral-rich water. Hydrogen sulfide billows from these jagged volcanic chimney rock formations. Surface plants use solar radiation to create complex carbon molecules. Deep-sea ecosystems depend completely on a process called chemosynthesis. Specialized microbes absorb toxic compounds from the superheated vent fluids. These microscopic organisms convert dissolved minerals into pure biological energy. The swarming giants consume these bacteria in truly massive quantities. Adult crustaceans possess incredibly specialized appendages for continuous filter feeding. Fine bristles cover the front legs of every single krill. Scientists call these delicate hair structures by the name setae. Setae act like microscopic nets catching tiny particles of food. The krill constantly sweep their front legs through the water. This rhythmic motion creates a steady current toward their mouths. Thick mats of bacteria grow directly on the vent chimneys. Some krill use their legs to scrape these living carpets. They harvest the microbial film from the dark basaltic rock. The crustaceans must avoid the scorching heat of the vents. Water exiting the central chimney reaches 380 degrees. Vent krill hover in the cooler water surrounding the plumes. They find a perfect temperature zone around 4 degrees Celsius. This narrow boundary provides safety from the boiling vent fluid. Convection currents pull cold ocean water toward the hydrothermal system. The mixing waters create a rich soup of suspended microbes. Millions of krill face the rising current to capture prey. Their internal biology processes the heavy metals found in bacteria. Copper and zinc accumulate inside their specialized digestive gland tissues. Special proteins bind to these metals to prevent cellular damage. The animals eventually excrete the toxic elements as solid waste. Food enters a highly modified foregut equipped with chitinous plates. These internal structures grind the tough cell walls of bacteria. The gastric mill operates continuously while the creature is feeding. Digested material then moves into the midgut for nutrient absorption. Enzymes break down complex bacterial proteins into usable amino acids. The krill extract vital lipids from their microscopic bacterial diet. These lipids provide dense energy for surviving the deep ocean. Vent environments often experience sudden and violent geological pressure changes. A vent might suddenly stop producing the necessary chemical fluids. The krill must store excess energy for these unpredictable events. Large oil droplets accumulate within the bodies of healthy krill. This stored fat makes them slightly buoyant in the water. Wax esters form the primary chemical structure of these reserves. A well-fed krill can survive months without fresh food. During starvation periods, their metabolic rate drops to conserve energy. They drift slowly in the darkness, waiting for new vents. Finding a new active chimney requires highly tuned chemical sensors. Their antennae detect faint traces of sulfur in the current. The swarm follows these invisible chemical trails across the abyss. They navigate through absolute darkness using olfactory cues alone now. Some researchers suspect the krill harbor their own internal bacteria. Endosymbiotic microbes might live within the gills of the crustacean. These resident bacteria could provide supplementary nutrition to their host. The host provides a safe environment with constant water flow. Oxygen and hydrogen sulfide wash continuously over the delicate gills. The internal bacteria process these chemicals into direct metabolic energy. This dual feeding strategy ensures survival in a harsh landscape. Filter feeding provides the bulk of their daily caloric needs. Symbiotic energy acts as a vital backup during lean times. Such complex biological partnerships dominate the deep-sea thermal vents. The specific bacteria consumed vary by the exact vent location. Iron oxidizing microbes dominate the cooler edges of the field. These organisms extract energy from dissolved iron in the water. Krill feeding in these zones consume massive amounts of iron. Their digestive tracts often appear rusty red from this diet. Sulfur oxidizing bacteria thrive closer to the central heat source. These microbes grow much faster than their iron-consuming cousins. The krill prefer the sulfur bacteria for their higher nutrition. Nutritional density drives the swarming behavior around specific chimney structures. Competition for the best feeding spots remains a constant struggle. Millions of individuals push against each other in the current. The strongest krill secure positions nearest the thickest bacterial plumes. Weaker animals get pushed to the outer edges of swarms. This spatial hierarchy ensures the healthiest individuals gather maximum energy. The sheer density of the swarm affects local water currents. Their collective swimming motions actively mix the surrounding ocean water. This biological mixing helps draw more oxygen toward the vents. Increased oxygen allows the free-floating bacteria to multiply faster. The krill essentially farm their own food through physical movement. It is a perfect feedback loop of energy and biology. Vent krill also consume organic detritus falling from the surface. Scientists refer to this gentle rain of particles as snow. Marine snow consists of dead plankton and tiny fecal pellets. It takes weeks for this material to reach the bottom. The nutritional value decreases significantly during the long downward journey. However, it provides essential vitamins missing from the vent bacteria. Calcium and phosphorus arrive primarily through this sinking surface debris. The krill need these minerals to build their hard exoskeletons. They catch the falling snow with their versatile feeding baskets. This mixed diet creates a highly resilient deep ocean species. Consuming so much mineral-rich food causes rapid physical growth. The rigid outer shell cannot expand as the animal grows. Vent krill must periodically shed their exoskeletons to increase size. The molting process requires tremendous amounts of stored metabolic energy. They stop feeding completely several days before shedding their shells. The old shell splits open along the crustacean back plates. The soft, vulnerable krill wiggles out of its former casing. It absorbs surrounding water to expand its new flexible shell. The new exoskeleton hardens over the next 48 hours. Voracious feeding resumes immediately once the new shell becomes solid. Methane gas also bubbles violently from the cracked ocean floor. Specific groups of bacteria consume this simple hydrocarbon gas directly. Methanotrophic bacteria form thick white clouds in the freezing water. Vent krill swim through these dense clouds with open mouths. The bristles trap the white bacterial clumps with incredible efficiency. Methane-derived carbon becomes incorporated into the tissues of krill. Isotope analysis reveals the exact origin of their cellular carbon. Scientists can trace the energy pathway from gas to crustacean. This chemical signature distinguishes vent krill from shallow water species. They are literal creatures of the deep earth geological processes. The vent fluids contain lethal concentrations of dissolved heavy metals. Lead and cadmium are highly toxic to most marine life. Vent krill have evolved unique biological mechanisms to survive this. Their livers produce specialized compounds that neutralize the dangerous elements. These compounds isolate the heavy metals inside microscopic cellular vaults. The toxic metals remain safely locked away from vital organs. When the krill molts, it sheds some of these toxins. The discarded shells become a sink for deep-sea pollution. Bacteria quickly colonize the empty shells resting on the mud. The cycle of chemical transfer continues endlessly in the dark. A single adult krill filters several liters of water daily. A large swarm can filter millions of liters every hour. They act as massive biological water purifiers for the abyss. The water leaving a swarm is noticeably clearer than before. They remove vast quantities of suspended particulate matter very quickly. This incredible filtration rate requires constant muscular movement and exertion. The swimming legs beat synchronously to maintain the steady flow. Oxygen is extracted from the water during this same process. Feeding and breathing are inextricably linked in their functional anatomy. They cannot stop swimming without simultaneously starving and suffocating completely. Vision plays absolutely no role in finding their microscopic food. The abyss remains perpetually devoid of all natural solar light. Instead, the krill rely on highly sensitive chemosensory body hairs. These hairs cover their long antennae and their feeding appendages. They can taste the precise chemical composition of the water. A sudden drop in bacterial density triggers a turning response. The krill adjust their swimming angle to stay inside plumes. They also sense minute changes in the local water temperature. Thermal receptors prevent them from swimming into fatally hot currents. It is a delicate dance of chemistry and thermal dynamics. Food scarcity sometimes forces the swarm into desperate survival behaviors. When vents die, the bacterial populations collapse almost completely overnight. The starving krill will occasionally turn on their own kind. Larger individuals may consume the smaller members of the swarm. This cannibalism preserves the genetic lineage during extreme environmental stress. They also scavenge the carcasses of other deep-sea creatures. A dead tube worm provides a massive feast of protein. Their mandibles can tear soft flesh into manageable tiny pieces. This opportunistic scavenging supplements their primary diet of vent bacteria. Flexibility in feeding ensures the continuation of the entire species. Harvested energy must be carefully divided between growth and reproduction. Female krill require massive calorie reserves to produce viable eggs. The eggs are rich in lipids for the developing embryos. A female carrying eggs feeds much more aggressively than males. She spends more time in the dangerous warmer water zones. The heat accelerates the development of the embryos she carries. She balances the risk of boiling against the reproductive benefits. The lipid-rich eggs represent a huge transfer of energy. Chemical energy from the Earth becomes the next living generation. The cycle of deep ocean life depends on this transfer. Some bacteria permanently attach themselves to the krill carapace directly. These epibiotic microbes grow like a microscopic forest of filaments. The krill use specialized grooming legs to harvest this forest. They literally cultivate a personal food supply on their backs. The swimming motions of the host provide the bacteria nutrients. Fresh vent fluid constantly washes over the growing microbial filaments. This mobile farming technique is unique among deep ocean crustaceans. It provides a reliable snack between major feeding plume events. The grooming process also keeps their sensory hairs perfectly clean. Clean sensors are absolutely vital for navigating the dark abyss. Surface animals use the sun to regulate their feeding schedules. Vent krill experience no day or night in the darkness. Their feeding rhythms are dictated by the tides instead now. Lunar gravity affects the pressure of the deep ocean water. This pressure change subtly alters the flow of hydrothermal vents. The volume of expelled bacteria fluctuates with these tidal forces. Krill feeding activity peaks during the strongest flow of fluids. They synchronize their movements to the hidden pulse of gravity. It is a biological clock set by the distant moon. The entire swarm pulses in time with the changing tides. Hydrothermal fluids also contain very high levels of dissolved silicates. Some ingested bacteria have tough outer shells made of silica. The krill must crush these glass-like shells to feed. Their gastric mills are lined with exceptionally hard mineral deposits. These internal grinding plates are reinforced with pure environmental calcium. The constant grinding produces microscopic shards of broken silica shells. These harmless shards pass smoothly through the long intestinal tract. The expelled waste settles slowly onto the dark ocean floor. Over millennia, this process creates thick layers of biological sediment. The feeding habits of krill literally shape the geological landscape. The survival of the vent krill is a chemical miracle. They transform deadly volcanic gases into thriving biological animal mass. Their specialized anatomy perfectly matches this extreme and hostile environment. Every physical feature serves the ultimate goal of continuous feeding. From bristled legs to armored stomachs, they are highly adapted. They form the critical middle link in the food web. Without them, the bacterial energy would simply dissipate into nothing. They capture the heat of the earth to sustain life. The swarm endures through supreme efficiency and constant perpetual motion. This endless harvest continues quietly in the cold black depths. The vent krill relies upon highly complex biological symbiotic relationships. Millions of bacteria reside within their modified anterior feeding appendages. These microbes process toxic chemicals from the dark hydrothermal vents. Hydrogen sulfide serves as their primary deep ocean energy source. This unique partnership sustains the krill in total oceanic darkness. Marine biologists discovered this epibiotic bacterial layer quite recently overall. Microscopic imaging revealed dense microbial mats covering the crustacean shell. These living blankets measure several micrometers thick in certain places. Scientists initially mistook these fuzzy growths for simple ocean debris. Further chemical analysis proved them to be vital living organisms. Bacterial colonies concentrate heavily along the lower ventral carapace plates. They anchor themselves securely to the smooth chitinous exoskeleton surface. Specialized microscopic grooves provide safe attachment points for these microbes. The constant flow of water delivers essential nutrients to them. This strategic positioning maximizes their exposure to rich vent fluids. One dominant bacterial strain belongs to the genus named Thiomicrospira. These specific organisms excel at rapid sulfur oxidation chemical processes. Another prevalent group includes members of the diverse Campylobacterota phylum. Each distinct species performs a highly specialized metabolic extraction task. Together they form a comprehensive biochemical processing plant underwater daily. Chemosynthesis replaces photosynthesis entirely within this sunless deep-sea ecosystem. The bacteria absorb dissolved inorganic compounds from the surrounding water. They use thermal energy to break strong chemical molecular bonds. This reaction produces complex organic sugars and essential amino acids. These newly synthesized nutrients slowly leak into the krill bloodstream. The crustacean actively swims through dense plumes of black smoke. These turbulent clouds contain massive concentrations of dissolved hydrogen sulfide. The krill absorbs this toxic gas directly through its gills. Specialized binding proteins immediately neutralize the normally lethal chemical compounds. This internal mechanism prevents cellular damage to the host animal. The clear hemolymph fluid transports the captured sulfide molecules efficiently. It delivers these raw materials straight to the bacterial colonies. This internal delivery system operates continuously without any noticeable pause. The microbes eagerly consume the sulfide to fuel their metabolism. Waste products from this process harmlessly diffuse back into seawater. Vent krill possess highly modified gills compared to surface relatives. These respiratory organs feature deep internal pockets for bacterial storage. The enclosed spaces protect the fragile microbes from strong currents. Fine hair structures keep the microscopic symbionts securely in place. This anatomical adaptation ensures a stable population of helpful bacteria. The gill filaments branch extensively to maximize available surface area. More surface area allows for significantly larger internal microbial populations. Thousands of tiny folds create a vast microscopic biological landscape. Blood vessels run directly beneath this thin bacterial living layer. Nutrient exchange happens instantly across these permeable delicate tissue membranes. Hydrothermal vents create extreme temperature gradients in the deep ocean. Water temperatures shift drastically within just a few short centimeters. The krill must carefully navigate these invisible dangerous thermal boundaries. Their symbiotic bacteria require specific warmth to function most efficiently. The host animal physically moves to regulate this environmental temperature. These specific microbes demonstrate remarkable thermotolerance compared to other strains. They survive sudden blasts of superheated fluid reaching 40 degrees. Specialized heat shock proteins protect their fragile internal cellular structures. Enzymes within the bacteria remain stable despite rapid environmental changes. This resilience allows the partnership to thrive in chaotic zones. Some bacterial colonies specialize in processing dissolved ocean methane gas. These belong to the fascinating family known scientifically as Methylococcaceae. Methane bubbles constantly emerge from cracks in the seafloor crust. The microbes capture this gas before it escapes into seawater. They convert the volatile methane into stable usable carbon compounds. Hosting both sulfur and methane processes provides a distinct advantage. This dual symbiosis ensures a constant, reliable daily food supply. If sulfur levels drop, the methane consumers increase their activity. The krill seamlessly switches its reliance between these microbial populations. Such metabolic flexibility guarantees survival during unpredictable geological vent fluctuations. Energy transfer between symbiont and host happens through continuous secretion. The bacteria leak excess nutrients directly through their cell walls. These organic molecules absorb straight into the crustacean tissue lining. Lipids and carbohydrates provide massive amounts of pure biological energy. This passive feeding requires absolutely no mechanical digestion effort initially. The secreted carbon compounds resemble simple sugars found in plants. They dissolve easily into the surrounding internal biological host fluids. Circulating hemolymph distributes these vital sugars to hungry muscle tissues. This constant nourishment fuels the continuous swimming motion required here. The krill rarely needs to hunt for physical prey items. Sometimes the bacterial colonies grow too rapidly for the host. The krill manages this overpopulation through direct internal cellular digestion. Special sweeping appendages scrape excess microbes from the outer carapace. The animal consumes these harvested bacteria as a protein supplement. This secondary feeding method provides essential nitrogen for tissue growth. Harvested bacteria travel down into a highly specialized muscular foregut. This stomach chamber contains powerful digestive enzymes and grinding plates. The tough bacterial cell walls break apart under intense pressure. Valuable intracellular nutrients release directly into the main digestive tract. Waste material forms compact pellets that drop into the abyss. Hydrothermal fluid contains dangerously high levels of dissolved heavy metals. Iron and zinc particles float abundantly in the dark water. The symbiotic bacteria act as a protective biological filtration shield. They absorb these toxic metals before they reach krill tissues. This unique sequestration process prevents lethal heavy metal poisoning entirely. The microbes store the dangerous metals inside harmless crystalline structures. These microscopic mineral deposits accumulate slowly within the bacterial cells. When the krill molts, it sheds this heavy toxic burden. The discarded shell falls away carrying the trapped metallic waste. This clever adaptation ensures long-term survival in hostile waters. While avoiding iron, the krill actively seeks out dissolved copper. Their specialized blue blood relies heavily on complex copper molecules. This substance, called hemocyanin, binds oxygen with incredible chemical efficiency. The bacteria assist by isolating copper from the vent fluid. They pass these purified copper ions directly to their host. Deep-sea environments naturally suffer from extremely low oxygen concentrations. The krill must extract every available molecule from the water. Hemocyanin allows them to breathe easily in hypoxic ocean conditions. The bacteria also consume oxygen to power their chemosynthetic reactions. Host and symbiont share the limited oxygen supply perfectly balanced. Crustaceans must periodically shed their rigid exoskeletons to grow larger. This molting process completely removes the outer epibiotic bacterial layer. Losing these helpful microbes temporarily reduces the energy production capacity. The krill prepares by storing excess lipids in specialized organs. These fat reserves sustain the animal during the vulnerable transition. The old carapace splits open cleanly along the dorsal ridge. The soft krill carefully pulls itself free from the shell. It leaves behind a perfect ghost replica covered in bacteria. The new exoskeleton remains extremely soft and pliable at first. Fresh microscopic grooves await the arrival of new bacterial colonists. The newly molted krill immediately turns around to face backward. It begins consuming its own discarded shell without any hesitation. This behavior reclaims valuable calcium lost during the molting phase. It also ingests a massive dose of its former symbionts. This massive bacterial meal provides an instant vital energy boost. Adult krill must pass these vital bacteria to their offspring. The eggs acquire a thin microbial coating during the spawning. This vertical transmission ensures the larvae hatch with essential partners. The newborn krill already possess the tools for chemical survival. They immediately begin processing sulfur in the dark ocean depths. Larvae also gather free-floating bacteria from the surrounding seawater. This horizontal transmission increases the overall genetic diversity incredibly well. Different vent fields host slightly different beneficial microbial ocean strains. The young krill adopt the most efficient local bacterial populations. This adaptability allows them to colonize newly formed hydrothermal vents. Free-living bacteria actively swim toward the young vent krill. They detect specific chemical signals released by the crustacean shell. This process called chemotaxis guides them through the dark water. The microbes follow the invisible chemical trail to their host. Upon arrival, they quickly attach to the waiting empty grooves. The attached bacteria secrete a thick protective slippery mucus layer. This substance forms a durable biofilm over the krill exoskeleton. The biofilm shields the colony from sudden harsh environmental changes. It also traps passing nutrients like a microscopic sticky web. The bacteria thrive within this secure custom-built biological fortress. This slimy bacterial coating provides an unexpected physical swimming benefit. The smooth biofilm significantly reduces water drag against the shell. Friction drops dramatically as the krill darts through the plumes. This hydrodynamic advantage saves massive amounts of daily kinetic energy. The crustacean swims faster while expending much less muscular effort. Some symbiotic strains possess faint natural bioluminescent glowing chemical properties. They emit a very soft continuous pale blue ambient light. This subtle glow illuminates the immediate water around the krill. Millions of swarming individuals create a massive, beautiful glowing cloud. The collective light gently pierces the absolute deep ocean darkness. Scientists debate the exact biological purpose of this bacterial glow. Some believe it helps the swarm maintain tight physical formations. Others suggest it attracts specific microscopic prey toward the host. The light might also signal the overall health of bacteria. Regardless, the phenomenon remains a stunning visual underwater natural display. Different species of vent krill host entirely unique microbial communities. The specific bacterial ratio depends heavily upon the local environment. A warmer vent encourages more heat-resistant strains to flourish. Cooler diffusers support a wider variety of fragile metabolic microbes. This precise calibration ensures maximum survival for each krill species. Krill living along the mid-Atlantic ridge face unique challenges. These particular vents produce unusually high concentrations of dissolved iron. Their symbiotic bacteria evolved specialized iron-binding cellular membrane proteins. This regional adaptation prevents the crustacean gills from simply clogging. The microbes process the iron into harmless microscopic rust flakes. The Pacific Ring of Fire offers a completely different chemistry. Vents here release massive amounts of volatile toxic sulfur compounds. Krill in this region host incredibly dense populations of Thiomicrospira. The bacterial mats grow noticeably thicker on these specific specimens. This enhanced biological shield handles the overwhelming local chemical load. Hydrothermal vents are notoriously unstable geological deep ocean seafloor features. They can suddenly stop flowing without any prior warning signs. When fluid output drops, the symbiotic bacteria immediately sense it. They slow their metabolic rates to conserve precious internal energy. This dormant state helps the entire colony survive lean times. During these dormant periods, the krill changes its behavior entirely. It relies on stored lipids accumulated during highly active phases. The animal stops swimming vigorously and enters a resting state. Heart rates drop as the crustacean waits in the dark. The bacteria quietly sustain the host with minimal nutrient output. If a vent dies completely, the swarm must relocate quickly. The krill swim outward into the freezing barren abyssal plain. Their internal bacteria switch to processing trace elements found anywhere. This emergency metabolism buys the swarm time to find warmth. Many perish, but the strongest individuals reach new active chimneys. Some scientists suspect an even deeper level of cellular integration. Certain bacteria might live entirely inside the actual krill cells. These endosymbionts would function much like mitochondria in human bodies. Research continues to probe this fascinating microscopic biological frontier daily. The boundaries between host and microbe continually blur down here. This profound relationship took millions of years to evolve perfectly. Ancient crustaceans slowly adapted to tolerate the toxic volcanic fluids. Bacteria simultaneously learned to hitch rides on these mobile platforms. Nature forged an unbreakable bond in the harshest environment imaginable. Neither organism could survive this deep abyss without the other. The vent krill stands as a masterpiece of symbiotic engineering. It transforms deadly chemicals into thriving, vibrant deep ocean life. Microbes and monsters dance together in the eternal crushing dark. Their silent partnership powers the greatest ecosystem hidden from sunlight. We leave them now to their quiet, endless chemical harvest. These giant vent krill navigate through the cold, dark waters. Their delicate swimming legs beat in a continuous, rhythmic sequence. Scientists call this synchronized motion a metachronal wave swimming pattern. 10 individual appendages work together to achieve perfect hydrodynamic harmony. This coordinated movement creates a smooth glide across the abyss. Each tiny leg pushes against the heavy pressurized ocean fluid. They maintain precise buoyancy control using specialized internal lipid sacs. This allows them to hover effortlessly above the mineral chimneys. Hovering requires minimal energy expenditure from the resting giant crustaceans. They position themselves carefully along the sharp thermal gradient boundary. Ambient ocean temperatures remain near 2 degrees Celsius down here. Boiling fluids emerge from the vents at extreme high temperatures. The krill find a comfortable zone measuring 15 degrees Celsius. They constantly adjust their position to maintain this optimal warmth. Sudden shifts in the turbulent currents demand immediate physical reactions. A quick flick of the muscular abdomen propels them backward. This rapid evasion tactic protects them from unexpected boiling plumes. Most of their daily routine involves slow and steady cruising. They swim against the gentle flow of the rising fluids. This behavior is scientifically known as positive rheotaxis orientation movement. Facing the current allows them to filter incoming chemical nutrients. Fine filamentous hairs on their front legs capture floating bacteria. They rhythmically sweep these gathered particles toward their waiting mouths. This feeding process continues without interruption throughout the entire day. Sunlight never reaches these extreme depths to dictate diurnal rhythms. Therefore, their activity levels remain constant regardless of the hour. They do not experience traditional cycles of day and night. Instead, their internal biological clocks respond to geological vent fluctuations. Periodic changes in mineral output dictate their subtle behavioral shifts. When vent flow decreases, the krill disperse over wider areas. Increased hydrothermal activity draws them back into highly dense congregations. These massive swarms represent a fascinating aspect of their lifestyle. Millions of individual krill gather around a single active chimney. Population densities often exceed 30,000 individuals per cubic meter. Despite such extreme crowding, they rarely collide with one another. Highly sensitive antennae detect minute water pressure changes nearby instantly. This hydrodynamic awareness allows them to maintain perfectly equal spacing. They form an organized biological cloud around the rocky structures. The entire swarm moves like a single cohesive living organism. Fluid dynamics within the group reduce overall swimming drag significantly. Individuals in the middle benefit from the wake of others. This drafting effect conserves precious metabolic energy for the collective. Krill on the outer edges must work much harder constantly. They slowly cycle positions to share the physical swimming burden. Exhausted individuals drift inward while rested crustaceans take the perimeter. This cooperative rotation ensures the survival of the entire colony. Chemical signals help coordinate these complex internal swarm traffic patterns. They release specific pheromones into the water to communicate status. Other krill detect these chemical messages using specialized olfactory receptors. A sudden release of alarm pheromones triggers an immediate scattering. Predatory fish approaching the swarm will encounter a confusing explosion. The krill dart in random directions to disorient the attacker. Once the danger passes, they slowly reform their structured cloud. Beyond swimming and swarming, they engage in meticulous grooming habits. The hydrothermal environment is filled with sticky metallic sulfide particles. These heavy minerals constantly settle onto their delicate translucent exoskeletons. Accumulation of this dense debris would eventually hinder their mobility. They use specialized cleaning appendages to scrape away the minerals. These tiny bristled arms reach every segment of their bodies. They carefully brush their sensitive optical organs to maintain clarity. Grooming sessions occur during brief periods of relative physical rest. They find sheltered crevices among the hardened basalt rock formations. Here the water currents are gentle and the temperature stabilizes. They cling to the rough stone using small hooked claws. This resting posture requires absolutely no active swimming energy whatsoever. While anchored, they meticulously clean their feathery gills of debris. Clean gills are essential for extracting scarce oxygen down here. The deep ocean water holds very little dissolved oxygen gas. They must maximize their respiratory efficiency to survive the abyss. After a thorough cleaning, they detach and rejoin the swarm. Molting is another critical and dangerous phase of their lives. As they consume nutrients, their internal bodies continuously grow larger. Their rigid outer shells cannot expand to accommodate this growth. They must periodically shed the old exoskeleton to develop further. The molting process begins with the absorption of internal calcium. A new soft shell forms silently beneath the hard exterior. The krill seeks a highly secluded spot away from predators. The old shell splits open along the dorsal back ridge. The creature slowly pulls its entire body out backward carefully. This exhausting extraction takes several hours of intense physical struggle. The newly emerged krill is incredibly soft and highly vulnerable. It must remain completely hidden while the fresh armor hardens. Surrounding seawater provides the necessary minerals for this hardening process. During this recovery phase they cannot swim efficiently or feed. They rely entirely on stored fat reserves to sustain themselves. Once the exoskeleton solidifies, they return to the active swarm. The discarded ghost shells drift away into the dark currents. Scavenging organisms quickly consume these empty shells for residual calcium. Social interactions among the vent krill extend to mating behaviors. Reproduction requires precise timing and coordinated movements between two individuals. Males release specific chemical attractants to signal their reproductive readiness. Receptive females detect these invisible trails within the turbulent water. They engage in a complex and beautiful synchronized swimming dance. The pair spirals upward together through the warm rising fluids. This brief courtship ends with the transfer of genetic material. The female stores the fertilized eggs beneath her long abdomen. She carries thousands of tiny spherical embryos for several months. Her swimming legs gently fan fresh oxygenated water over them. She avoids the hottest vent zones to protect the eggs. Extreme heat would easily destroy the fragile developing cellular structures. Instead, she navigates the cooler peripheral regions of the colony. When the eggs finally hatch, microscopic larvae enter the water. These juveniles do not immediately join the massive adult swarms. They gather in specialized nursery zones near the seafloor base. Here the chemical concentrations are lower and currents are weaker. The young krill spend their first year grazing on microbes. They practice their swimming techniques in these relatively calm waters. As they grow, their swimming appendages become stronger and longer. They gradually migrate upward to integrate with the mature population. The integration process introduces them to complex swarm dynamic rules. They must learn to maintain the precise required interpersonal distances. Failure to synchronize movements results in immediate displacement from groups. Adult krill gently nudge the clumsy juveniles into proper alignment. This physical correction teaches the younger generation vital survival skills. Within a few weeks, the newcomers move with perfect grace. The swarm acts as a massive collective sensory processing unit. Information travels across the group through subtle water pressure waves. An individual might suddenly detect a toxic hydrogen sulfide pocket. It immediately alters its trajectory to avoid the lethal zone. The adjacent krill feel this sudden directional change almost instantly. They adjust their own paths to match the new trajectory. This cascading reaction sweeps through the entire million-member swarm. The collective intelligence steers the group away from certain death. They navigate the treacherous chemical landscape with absolute unified precision. Sometimes the vent chimneys collapse under their own massive weight. This catastrophic event drastically alters the local fluid dynamic environment. The krill must quickly adapt to the new flow patterns. They spend days surveying the changed topography of the rocks. Exploratory groups map out the newly formed thermal gradient boundaries. They establish new hovering zones based on the shifted currents. This adaptability ensures their continued presence in a volatile world. They share their habitat with giant tube worms and crabs. The krill generally avoid the grasping claws of large crustaceans. They hover just beyond the reach of the squat lobsters. Occasionally they rest upon the smooth white tubes of worms. The worms do not mind the gentle touch of krill. This peaceful coexistence defines the complex hydrothermal vent ecological web. The krill also interact with the dense bacterial mat formations. They use their front legs to gently pluck filamentous bacteria. They are careful not to destroy the underlying microbial roots. This sustainable grazing allows the bacterial colonies to regenerate quickly. The krill act as careful gardeners of the deep abyss. Their constant movement also helps distribute vital minerals across surfaces. Water passing through the swarm becomes mixed and highly oxygenated. This localized stirring benefits all stationary organisms living down here. The krill essentially function as the beating heart of vents. They circulate life-supporting nutrients through their sheer physical numbers. The energy required for this perpetual motion is truly staggering. They consume nearly half their body weight in bacteria daily. Their digestive systems process this rich food with incredible efficiency. Waste products are expelled and quickly consumed by bottom dwellers. Nothing is ever wasted in this isolated deep ocean ecosystem. The krill sometimes engage in vertical migrations near the vents. They rise 50 meters above the chimneys to disperse chemicals. This upward journey takes them into much colder water zones. Their metabolisms slow down significantly in these freezing upper regions. They slowly drift back down toward the comforting thermal warmth. This vertical diving behavior might help regulate internal chemical balances. Scientists believe it flushes toxic heavy metals from their systems. The cold water causes their blood vessels to constrict rapidly. Returning to the heat expands the vessels and restores circulation. This thermal pumping mechanism keeps their internal organs functioning perfectly. Their visual systems also adapt to the strange vent environment. They possess modified compound eyes lacking traditional image-forming lenses. Instead, these organs detect faint infrared radiation from the vents. The boiling water emits a very dim invisible thermal glow. The krill use this faint light to orient themselves spatially. They visually track the hottest parts of the mineral chimneys. This prevents them from accidentally swimming into the boiling water. Their eyes essentially function as highly sensitive biological thermal cameras. They constantly scan the darkness for shifting temperature gradient lines. When a new vent opens, they see the thermal flash. The swarm slowly migrates toward the newly available energy source. Their journey across the cold barren seafloor is highly dangerous. Away from the vents, they lack both food and warmth. They form a tight spherical formation to conserve body heat. The outer layer of krill endures the freezing ambient temperatures. They rotate positions rapidly to prevent the perimeter from freezing. This rolling ball of crustaceans moves steadily across the darkness. They follow the faint chemical trails of the new vent. Upon arriving, they quickly disperse into their familiar cloud formation. They immediately begin grazing to replenish their depleted energy reserves. The new chimney offers pristine surfaces covered in fresh bacteria. The krill settle into their familiar rhythmic swimming patterns again. Their delicate legs resume the endless metachronal beating wave motion. They establish new hovering zones along the fresh thermal gradients. The complex social dynamics of the swarm re-establish themselves quickly. Juveniles find new nursery zones at the base of rocks. Grooming stations are selected among the newly formed basalt crevices. The cycle of life continues uninterrupted in the deep abyss. These swarming giants remain masters of their extreme oceanic domain. Their behaviors showcase incredible evolutionary adaptation to harsh environmental conditions. Every movement serves a specific purpose for their ultimate survival. They waste absolutely no energy on frivolous or unnecessary actions. Their daily lives are dictated by heat and chemical flows. They navigate the eternal darkness with profound grace and precision. The giant vent krill stand as marvels of deep biology. Their synchronized swarms create a mesmerizing ballet in the dark. They bring vibrant life to the most hostile underwater landscapes. The deep sea remains forever changed by their constant presence. The abyss remains completely devoid of natural solar light penetration. Vent krill must navigate this pitch-black underwater world daily. Their sensory organs evolved to process very faint environmental cues. Extreme hydrostatic pressure crushes standard biological tissues without special adaptations. Scalding hydrothermal fluids mix violently with freezing deep ocean currents. These crustaceans survive within a highly volatile chemical transition zone. Finding food requires precise detection of dissolved mineral plume gradients. Avoiding predators demands acute awareness of subtle water pressure shifts. The sensory biology of these giants reveals incredible evolutionary engineering. Every nerve ending serves a critical survival function down here. Traditional compound eyes offer little advantage in absolute total darkness. Vent krill possess highly modified ocular structures for dim environments. Their armatidia lack the pigment layers found in surface species. This structural absence maximizes photon capture from faint bioluminescent flashes. The crystalline cones act like microscopic fiber optic light guides. These lenses gather ambient glow emitted by superheated mineral chimneys. Infrared radiation from hydrothermal vents provides a weak visual signal. Specialized rabdomes process these thermal wavelengths into usable neural images. The krill perceive their habitat as shadowy thermal silhouettes nearby. Such rudimentary vision prevents them from swimming into boiling water. Chemical detection acts as the primary navigational tool for krill. Long primary antennae sweep through the water column, continuously searching. Thousands of tiny sensory hairs cover these sweeping appendage structures. Scientists call these delicate chemical receptor hairs esthetosks incrustations. Each hair contains multiple permeable channels for dissolved water molecules. Olfactory neurons inside the hairs bind directly with hydrogen sulfide. The krill track chemical trails left by active hydrothermal vents. They can smell nutrient concentrations from several hundred meters away. Amino acids released by bacterial mats trigger immediate feeding responses. Taste receptors on their feeding legs evaluate food particle quality. Deep-sea environments transmit sound waves incredibly fast and far. Krill lack true ears but hear through physical water displacement. Mechanoreceptors along their carapace vibrate when acoustic waves pass through. Setae on their tail fan detect approaching predators from behind. These tactile bristles measure the exact velocity of ocean currents. The swarming giants maintain perfect spacing using these flow sensors. Water pushed by neighboring krill signals them to adjust course. This hydrodynamic feedback loop prevents collisions within the massive swarm. Statocysts located near their brain provide a sense of balance. A small mineral grain rolls inside the statocyst during movement. This rolling grain touches different sensory hairs inside the chamber. Gravity pulls the grain downward regardless of external water currents. The brain interprets these touches to determine vertical swimming orientation. Molting requires the krill to replace this internal mineral grain. They carefully select a new sand particle from the seafloor. Without this balancing organ, they would spiral uncontrollably in darkness. Proprioceptors inside their joints monitor the exact position of limbs. Muscle tension sensors provide continuous feedback during rapid swimming bursts. Complex neural pathways process this spatial information without visual input. The resulting mental map allows graceful navigation around jagged rocks. Vent habitats feature the most extreme temperature gradients on Earth. Ambient deep ocean water remains near 2 degrees Celsius constantly. Hydrothermal fluid erupts at temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Celsius. Vent krill must constantly measure the water temperature around them. Specialized nerve endings on their antennae function as biological thermometers. These thermal receptors detect changes of a fraction of degrees. The krill prefer feeding in water around 20 degrees Celsius. Swimming too close to the chimney vent causes instant death. Drifting too far into the cold slows their metabolic rate. They constantly adjust their position to stay within comfortable zones. Surviving rapid temperature shifts requires massive cellular adaptation and resilience. Normal proteins denature and unfold when exposed to extreme heat. Vent krill produce high levels of specialized heat shock proteins. These molecular chaperones protect other vital cellular structures from damage. They quickly repair proteins damaged by sudden thermal vent plumes. Cold water tolerance relies on flexible lipid membranes within cells. Their cell walls contain high amounts of unsaturated fatty acids. This chemical composition prevents cellular membranes from freezing completely solid. The membranes remain fluid and functional in near-freezing temperatures. Enzyme systems operate efficiently across an incredibly wide thermal spectrum. The abyssal plane exerts crushing hydrostatic pressure on all objects. Depths of 3,000 meters create enormous crushing hydrostatic pressures. Such immense weight compresses biological molecules into smaller physical volumes. Standard cellular processes fail under this intense deep ocean weight. Vent krill utilize organic osmolytes to counteract the external pressure. Trimethylamine oxide acts as the primary pressure balancing chemical compound. Scientists frequently abbreviate this vital protective chemical molecule as TMAO. TMAO surrounds water molecules and prevents them from crushing proteins. The compound stabilizes protein folding against severe mechanical pressure forces. Higher depths require greater tissue concentrations of this protective chemical. Krill living at deeper vents display elevated intracellular TMAO levels. This adaptation allows them to colonize deeper ocean floor trenches. Their metabolic enzymes show unique structural modifications for high pressure. The active sites of these enzymes resist compression very effectively. Cellular respiration continues smoothly despite the massive weight above them. Calcium carbonate shells normally dissolve quickly in deep pressurized water. Vent krill incorporate heavy metals into their exoskeleton for strength. Iron sulfides from the vent fluid reinforce their outer shell. This metallic armor prevents pressure from crushing their internal organs. The flexible joints between armor plates allow smooth swimming motions. Processing diverse sensory inputs requires a highly efficient nervous system. The krill possess a decentralized network of neural ganglia nodes. A primary brain located near the eyes handles visual data. Smaller nerve clusters run along the length of their body. These local ganglia process touch and chemical signals very rapidly. Decentralized processing allows faster reflex reactions to sudden environmental threats. A sudden blast of hot water triggers an immediate escape. The tail ganglion initiates rapid backward movement without brain input. Giant nerve fibers transmit electrical impulses instantly across their body. Myelin sheaths insulate these neural pathways for maximum signal speed. Researchers suspect vent krill can detect the Earth's magnetic field. Tiny particles of magnetite exist within their upper head region. These magnetic crystals align perfectly with planetary polar magnetic lines. Geomagnetic navigation helps them migrate between distant hydrothermal vent fields. Ocean currents often scatter the swarm into barren abyssal deserts. Magnetic senses guide lost individuals back toward active tectonic ridges. The exact mechanism of this magnetic perception remains partially mysterious. Scientists observe krill aligning their bodies with local magnetic anomalies. Chimney structures containing iron emit distinct local magnetic field signatures. The swarm uses these invisible fields as permanent geographical landmarks. Deep ocean vent environments frequently experience severe oxygen depletion events. Bacterial mats consume massive amounts of dissolved oxygen during metabolism. Vent krill must monitor local oxygen concentrations to avoid suffocation. Internal chemoreceptors measure oxygen saturation directly within their clear hemolymph. Low oxygen triggers an automatic behavioral response to swim upward. They move into colder water where oxygen remains more plentiful. Their feathery gills extract oxygen efficiently from very poor environments. Specialized hemocyanin proteins transport oxygen molecules through their circulatory system. Copper-infused blood proteins turn blue when carrying oxygen molecules. The protein structure changes shape to bind oxygen under pressure. Hydrothermal fluids contain high concentrations of normally toxic heavy metals. Copper and zinc levels would quickly kill most surface crustaceans. Vent krill possess sensory mechanisms to detect dangerous metal concentrations. Taste receptors on their mouthparts reject highly contaminated food particles. They selectively filter out the most toxic mineral flake debris. Internal sensors monitor the buildup of metals within their tissues. Specialized digestive glands isolate and neutralize harmful metallic chemical compounds. They store these neutralized toxins safely within their discarded molds. Shedding their exoskeleton removes accumulated poisons from their growing bodies. This chemical awareness prevents lethal poisoning in a toxic habitat. Millions of krill move together like a single giant organism. This synchronized swimming relies on constant sensory communication between individuals. They do not use visual cues to maintain swarm cohesion. Chemical pheromones released into the water signal their emotional states. Alarm pheromones spread rapidly through the water during predator attacks. The scent of danger causes the entire swarm to scatter. Feeding pheromones attract distant krill toward rich bacterial food sources. Water pressure waves from swimming neighbors dictate their swimming speed. Each individual reacts solely to the movements of closest neighbors. This local sensory processing creates beautiful, complex global swarm patterns. Sunlight never reaches the extreme depths of the abyssal plain. Yet vent krill maintain strict biological clocks and daily routines. Tidal movements create subtle pressure changes deep in the ocean. The krill sense these microscopic shifts in gravitational water weight. Lunar cycles dictate the timing of their massive molting events. Internal pacemakers regulate their metabolism without any solar-like cues. They feed more actively during periods of high tidal flow. Stronger currents deliver more suspended bacterial food to the swarm. Their sensory systems anticipate these nutrient deliveries with perfect timing. Biological rhythms synchronize the entire population for successful mating seasons. The hydrothermal vent field features incredibly rugged and dangerous terrain. Towering mineral chimneys reach heights of over 50 meters tall. Deep crevices and sharp volcanic glass litter the rocky seafloor. Krill use their long antennae like blind walking sticks underwater. They constantly tap the surrounding rocks to build spatial maps. The flexibility of their antennae prevents damage during physical collisions. Sensory cells at the base measure the angle of deflection. This tactile mapping allows them to find shelter from predators. They memorize the physical layout of their local chimney structures. Spatial memory helps them navigate the complex maze of rocks. Tectonic ridges experience frequent earthquakes and violent geological volcanic eruptions. Vent krill possess remarkable sensitivity to low-frequency seismic vibrations. Tiny hairs on their legs detect rumblings within the earth. They sense the microscopic shaking of the seafloor crust directly. This early warning system alerts them to impending vent collapses. A sudden shift in vibration frequency signals dangerous magma movement. The swarm will migrate away from an increasingly unstable chimney. They avoid being crushed by falling debris during seismic events. Acoustic monitoring shows how quickly they react to tectonic shifts. Their survival depends on listening to the heartbeat of volcanoes. Vent krill consume thick mats of chemosynthetic bacteria for energy. They must distinguish between nutritious bacteria and useless mineral flakes. Their feeding baskets contain hundreds of microscopic sensory sorting bristles. These bristles evaluate the texture of every captured suspended particle. Soft bacterial clumps trigger an automatic ingestion reflex for feeding. Hard mineral grains are quickly rejected and pushed away safely. Chemical sensors confirm the nutritional value before the krill swallows. This rapid sensory sorting happens hundreds of times per minute. They feed continuously without wasting energy on digesting raw rocks. Efficient sensory filtering sustains their massive populations in barren waters. Giant vent crabs and deep-sea octopuses hunt the krill. Predators create distinct hydrodynamic wakes when moving through the water. The krill lateral line system detects these specific pressure signatures. A lunging crab pushes a solid wall of water forward. Mechanoreceptors sense this approaching pressure wave milliseconds before physical contact. The krill execute a rapid tail flick to escape danger. Some predators attempt to mask their approach by moving slowly. However, the krill antennae can smell the scent of crabs. Chemical alarm signals override all other sensory inputs during attacks. The entire swarm shifts direction to avoid the detected threat. The sensory world of the vent krill seems completely alien. They perceive their environment through chemistry and subtle water pressure. Temperature gradients paint a vivid thermal landscape in their minds. Crushing depths only strengthen their unique biological adaptations over time. Toxic chemicals serve as guiding beacons toward rich food sources. Total darkness poses no obstacle to their massive swarming migrations. Evolution sculpted these crustaceans perfectly for this extreme abyssal habitat. Delicate sensory hairs bridge the gap between life and death. Deep sea survival demands absolute perfection in gathering environmental information. The vent krill remain masters of perception in the abyss. The reproductive cycle of the vent krill begins very quietly. Adult males release specific chemical pheromones into the dark water. Deep ocean currents carry these subtle mating signals very far. Females detect these molecules using highly sensitive paired frontal antennae. Mating typically occurs near active hydrothermal chimney mineral rock structures. Ambient water temperatures here hover near exactly 2 degrees Celsius. A male approaches a receptive female krill with extreme caution. They swim together in a slow and perfectly synchronized dance. This delicate courtship happens in complete and absolute pitch darkness. Both individuals align their bodies directly parallel to ocean currents. The male uses modified swimming legs to hold the female. These specialized appendages are called plasma in crustacean biological terms. He transfers a small spermatophore to her specialized receiving organ. This tiny capsule contains thousands of microscopic genetic sperm cells. The female stores this packet safely inside a ventral pouch. She will keep the genetic material viable for several months. The newly mated pair separates shortly after this brief exchange. Males may mate with multiple partners during one single season. Females swim away to find highly nutrient-rich feeding grounds. Consuming abundant bacteria prepares her body for demanding egg production. Inside her body, thousands of tiny eggs begin developing slowly. The ovaries expand significantly as the yolky eggs grow larger. A healthy female can produce up to 10,000 eggs. These eggs require massive amounts of stored lipid energy reserves. She converts consumed vent microbes into dense fatty acid chains. The developing ova take on a faint glowing blue tint. This subtle coloration comes from specialized deep-sea protein compounds. Her swollen carapace becomes slightly translucent during this gestation period. She avoids the hottest vent fluids to protect her brood. Stable cool water ensures the delicate proteins remain perfectly intact. Spawning occurs when the deep ocean currents are relatively calm. The female swims upward about 50 meters above the vents. She pushes the mature eggs out through small thoracic pores. As they exit, they pass over the stored sperm packet. Fertilization happens externally in the freezing dark abyssal water column. The fertilized embryos form a massive sinking cloud of life. Each spherical egg measures barely 0.6 millimeters across. They are slightly denser than the surrounding cold salt water. Gravity pulls the tiny spheres downward toward the ocean floor. This slow descent represents the first major journey of life. Sinking eggs travel at roughly 200 meters per day. The extreme pressure of the abyss compresses their outer membranes. A tough chorion layer protects the fragile dividing cells inside. Cell division happens remarkably slowly in these frigid thermal conditions. Temperatures near the seabed drop to 1 degree above freezing. The embryos consume their internal yolk reserves for vital sustenance. Development takes approximately 30 days to reach the hatching phase. Many eggs fall into barren trenches away from active vents. Only a fortunate fraction land near vital hydrothermal energy sources. The resting eggs settle gently onto the soft basaltic mud. Inside the shell, a tiny nauplius larva begins to twitch. It uses a microscopic hatching spine to pierce the membrane. The newly emerged larva looks nothing like an adult krill. It possesses a simple unsegmented body and 3 paired appendages. A single primitive eye spot sits at the anterior end. This simple organ only detects the faintest traces of bioluminescence. The first stage nauplius cannot feed on external food sources. It lacks a fully developed mouth or functional digestive tract. Survival depends entirely on remaining embryonic yolks stored internally now. The tiny creature swims weakly using its small feathery antennae. After 4 days, the nauplius undergoes its very first molt. It sheds its tight exoskeleton to allow for physical growth. The emerging metanauplius stage features slightly more complex body segments. Small buds appear where future swimming legs will eventually develop. It continues to drift passively with the slow bottom currents. The surrounding water pressure exceeds 300 atmospheres down here. These extreme forces do not harm the highly adapted larvae. Special lipid structures keep their cellular membranes fluid and flexible. Another week passes before the next critical developmental transformation begins. The internal yolk supply is now completely and utterly exhausted. The larva molts again into the hungry Calyptopus life stage. A distinct protective carapace now covers its entire upper body. The digestive system finally opens and becomes fully functional today. It must find microscopic food quickly to avoid sudden starvation. The Calyptopus uses tiny appendages to sweep water toward itself. It filters free-floating chemosynthetic bacteria from the dark water. These microbes provide essential carbon and vital energy for growth. The larva begins a slow vertical migration up the column. It seeks out slightly warmer water layers to accelerate metabolism. This upward journey exposes the young krill to new predators. Surviving larvae eventually molt into the advanced fossilia developmental stage. Compound eyes finally emerge on short movable stalks up front. These complex eyes can detect faint thermal glows from vents. The abdomen elongates and develops distinct muscular segments for swimming. Pleopods or swimming legs sprout sequentially along the lower body. The fossilia gains much greater control over its swimming direction. It actively hunts larger microbial clusters floating in the abyss. Bioluminescent organs called photophores start forming on the ventral side. These light-producing spots remain dim and inactive for now. The fossilia stage lasts for several months in the deep. After numerous molts, the creature becomes a recognizable juvenile krill. It measures roughly 15 mm from head to tail tip. The juvenile looks like a miniature version of the adult. Its shell hardens by incorporating dissolved minerals from vent fluids. The young krill now descends back toward the ocean floor. It follows chemical gradients leading to active hydrothermal vent fields. Hydrogen sulfide concentrations guide the juvenile through the pitch black. Upon arriving, it joins the massive swarms of older adults. The juvenile must compete for prime feeding spots near chimneys. It will spend the next year growing and maturing here. Maturation in the deep sea is a remarkably slow process. The cold environment significantly limits their overall metabolic growth rate. Vent krill reach sexual maturity at around 2 years old. By this time they measure nearly 6 centimeters in length. Their filtering appendages have grown dense with fine sensory setae. The photophores now glow brightly with a pale blue light. Adult males develop slightly larger eyes than their female counterparts. This visual adaptation helps them locate mates in the dark. Females grow slightly wider carapaces to accommodate future egg production. The swarm provides safety through sheer overwhelming numbers of individuals. Adult vent krill continue to molt throughout their entire lives. Shedding the old exoskeleton requires immense amounts of physical energy. The krill absorbs calcium from its old shell before molting. A new soft shell forms directly underneath the hard exterior. The creature rapidly takes in water to expand its body. Pressure splits the old carapace open along the dorsal spine. The krill carefully backs out of its former rigid casing. It leaves behind a perfect ghostly replica of its body. These discarded shells drift away and dissolve in the ocean. The newly molted krill remains extremely vulnerable for several hours. Its soft new armor offers zero protection against hungry predators. The animal hides deep within rocky crevices near the vents. Warm mineral water helps the new exoskeleton harden very quickly. Iron sulfides from the vent fluid integrate into the shell. This mineral infusion gives adults a distinct reddish-brown coloration. Molting allows the krill to replace lost or damaged limbs. A severed antenna can regrow entirely over 3 successive molts. The frequency of molting decreases as the animal grows older. Young adults shed their skin once every single lunar month. Older individuals may only molt twice a full calendar year. Deep-sea krill possess a fascinating biological survival trick inside. They can actually shrink their bodies during prolonged starvation periods. If a vent stops flowing, food becomes incredibly scarce nearby. The krill will molt into a slightly smaller physical size. This incredible reduction lowers their baseline metabolic energy requirement significantly. A shrinking krill can survive months without a proper meal. It uses its own body muscle mass for internal fuel. When food returns, the animal molts and grows larger again. This elasticity makes determining their exact age very difficult scientifically. Size alone does not accurately indicate a vent krill's lifespan. Researchers study the slow accumulation of certain brain pigments instead. Lipofuscin is a biological marker that increases over passing time. Analysis reveals these creatures live surprisingly long and resilient lives. A typical vent krill can easily survive for 7 years. Some exceptional individuals may even reach a full decade old. This longevity far exceeds that of shallow water crustacean species. The freezing ambient temperatures act as a natural preserving agent. Cellular degradation happens at a fraction of the normal speed. Their DNA repair mechanisms function with incredible biological precision here. They resist genetic damage from background deep-sea radiation sources. Throughout its long life, a female reproduces multiple distinct times. She can release batches of eggs every single winter season. An older female krill might produce 50,000 new offspring. This high reproductive output sustains the massive abyssal krill swarms. Only a few larvae from each batch survive to adulthood. The vast majority become vital food for other ocean organisms. Deep-sea food webs rely heavily on this larval bounty. As krill age, their swimming movements gradually become much slower. The bright bioluminescent photophores begin to dim and fade away. Older individuals drift toward the cooler outer edges of swarms. Senescence or biological aging eventually claims the oldest swarm members. Their feeding appendages wear down from years of constant filtering. Worn setae make gathering microscopic bacteria much more physically difficult. The final molt often proves fatal for an elderly krill. Lacking sufficient energy, they cannot escape their own dying shells. They slowly sink to the barren and dark ocean floor. Scavenging amphipods quickly consume the remains of the fallen giants. Nothing goes to waste in the nutrient-starved abyssal depths. The carbon stored in their bodies returns to the ecosystem. Their long journey ends exactly where it all first began. Environmental changes deeply impact this fragile and complex life cycle. Hydrothermal vents are highly unstable and temporary geological rock formations. A chimney may suddenly collapse or stop venting hot fluid. When vents die, the local krill population faces immediate peril. Adults must swarm together and swim across vast empty plains. They search desperately for newly forming hydrothermal fissures to colonize. During this migration, all reproductive mating activities completely shut down. Energy is strictly conserved for forward swimming and basic survival. Finding a new vent field triggers a massive mating event. The cycle of life rapidly renews around the fresh minerals. Swarms quickly repopulate the new habitat with millions of larvae. The deep ocean currents once again carry the tiny eggs. Evolution has perfectly tuned their biology to this harsh realm. Every stage of development shows remarkable deep-sea survival adaptations. From sinking eggs to shrinking adults, they defy impossible odds. The vent krill remains a master of extreme biological endurance. Their continued existence highlights the resilience of deep ocean life. Researchers continue to uncover new secrets about their hidden lives. Automated submersibles capture rare footage of their beautiful mating dances. These glimpses reveal a world of quiet and dark beauty. The abyss holds countless generations of these tiny glowing crustaceans. They are born in the crushing cold of the deep. They grow alongside towering chimneys of superheated dark mineral smoke. They mate in silent harmony with the slow ocean currents. Their offspring drift through the vast and empty midnight zone. Life persists here despite the total absence of solar energy. The vent krill life cycle is a continuous loop of renewal. It is a quiet rhythm pulsing in the deep dark. Nature finds a way to flourish in the absolute extremes. The story of the vent krill quietly continues on forever. The vent krill serve a vital ecological function down here. They act as primary consumers of thick chemosynthetic bacterial mats. These swarming giants process vast amounts of thermal ocean energy. Carbon flows through their bodies into the broader vent ecosystem. Larger predators rely entirely on these massive crustacean biological aggregations. Without the krill, the thermal vent ecosystem would completely collapse. They transfer nutrients from microscopic organisms to larger complex animals. Their daily migrations distribute biological matter across the rocky seafloor. Sinking organic debris from their swarms feeds many benthic scavengers. Even their discarded molts provide essential dietary calcium for others. Microbes colonize these shed exoskeletons within just a few hours. This creates secondary microhabitats for many tiny deep ocean invertebrates. The krill maintain a delicate balance around the smoking chimneys. By grazing on bacterial films, they prevent dangerous microbial overgrowth. This continuous feeding clears space for entirely new bacterial colonies. Fresh mineral deposits can then support subsequent microbial life generations. The entire biological community depends on this constant daily grazing. Energy from the hot mantle thus enters the living biosphere. These crustaceans are the absolutely crucial link in this chain. They transform toxic chemical compounds into a sustaining life force. Their bodies store heavy metals away from more sensitive species. This bioaccumulation protects the wider ecosystem from deadly hydrothermal toxicity. Deep ocean currents eventually disperse their rich organic waste output. Life slowly radiates outward from the highly active vent fields. We can compare them to other highly specialized vent creatures. Unlike the sessile tube worms, vent krill move quite freely. Tube worms remain permanently anchored to the rocky mineral substrates. The krill navigate the turbulent thermal water plumes with ease. They share their unique habitat with the famous yeti crabs. Yeti crabs farm bacteria directly on their own hairy arms. Krill instead harvest bacteria directly from the solid geological formations. Vent shrimp also inhabit these extreme deep dark ocean environments. However, the shrimp stay much closer to the scalding heat. Vent krill prefer the slightly cooler periphery of the vents. This spatial division reduces direct resource competition between the species. Each organism occupies a highly specific thermal and chemical niche. The krill completely dominate the pelagic water zone above vents. They swim in dense formations resembling thick dark underwater clouds. Other vent crustaceans tend to crawl solely along the bottom. The krill bring a complex physical structure to the community. Their unique swimming patterns create small localized deep water currents. These microcurrents help distribute dissolved minerals through the surrounding water. Despite their extreme isolation, human activities now threaten these habitats. Deep-sea mining poses a truly significant risk to vents. Industrial corporations frantically seek the valuable metals within the chimneys. Copper, zinc, and rare earth elements heavily accumulate down here. Mining machines would completely destroy the fragile geological chimney structures. The physical destruction of a vent entirely eliminates the ecosystem. Sediment plumes from heavy mining operations would choke the krill. Their delicate filtering appendages cannot handle this heavy industrial silt. Suspended rock particles would quickly clog their complex respiratory gills. Noise pollution from mining machinery disrupts their quiet acoustic environment. Vibrations travel vast distances through the incredibly dense ocean water. These unnatural sounds could easily interfere with krill swarm coordination. Light pollution from descending submersibles also alters their natural behavior. Artificial illumination blinds creatures perfectly adapted to total absolute darkness. Once a vent field is mined, ecological recovery takes decades. Some ecosystems might never truly return to their original state. The sudden loss of vent krill would trigger cascading extinctions. Many specialized predators would simply starve without this abundant prey. Climate change presents another massive looming threat to the abyss. Warming ocean temperatures slowly alter the deep-sea water currents. These currents deliver essential dissolved oxygen to the benthic zones. Reduced oxygen levels could rapidly suffocate the active krill swarms. Ocean acidification also severely impacts their ability to build shells. Increasing acidity levels aggressively dissolve the calcium carbonate they require. Their exoskeletons would become dangerously thin, brittle, and structurally weak. This makes them highly vulnerable to natural deep-sea predators. Changes in surface productivity drastically affect the deep marine snow. While vent krill rely on chemosynthesis, they still need vitamins. Some essential dietary nutrients only come from the surface world. A steady decline in surface plankton eventually starves the deep. The biological interconnectedness of the global ocean cannot be ignored. Surface weather phenomena always echo down into the darkest depths. Protecting these remote habitats requires strong international cooperation and treaties. Marine protected areas must legally encompass these unique hydrothermal vents. Scientists advocate strongly for the permanent preservation of these zones. The broad scientific value of the vent krill remains immense. They offer profound insights into extreme biological survival adaptation strategies. Their enzymes function flawlessly under intense hydrostatic deep water pressure. Researchers currently study these proteins for potential industrial medical applications. Heat-resistant biological enzymes can improve many complex manufacturing processes. The krill also possess highly unique genetic repair mechanisms inside. They constantly fix DNA damage caused by naturally radioactive isotopes. Hydrothermal fluid often contains heavy traces of naturally occurring uranium. Understanding their cellular repair could significantly advance human medical science. Their unique visual systems reveal how eyes evolve in darkness. They easily detect the incredibly faint infrared glow of vents. This thermal vision represents a truly remarkable evolutionary sensory leap. We learn how biological systems perfectly optimize limited sensory input. The krill also teach us about highly complex swarm intelligence. Millions of individuals move together without any single central leader. They process faint chemical signals to coordinate their massive aggregations. This behavior inspires entirely new algorithms for artificial robotic networks. Beyond practical applications, they inspire deep philosophical and scientific wonder. They boldly challenge our fundamental definitions of habitable environmental zones. Life thrives down here without a single photon of sunlight. This profoundly shifts our scientific perspective on the entire biosphere. Earth holds deep secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Each deep dive reveals entirely new biological paradigms hiding below. These fascinating creatures connect directly to the ancient origin of life. Many scientists currently believe life began at similar hydrothermal vents. The ancient ocean was highly toxic, hot, and extremely acidic. Early microscopic organisms would have utilized chemosynthesis just like this. The modern vent krill represent a clear window into prehistory. They vividly show how early complex animals might have survived. Their ecosystem perfectly models the primordial oceans of early Earth. Studying them directly helps us understand our own distant ancestry. The fundamental building blocks of biology emerge from these minerals. Amino acids form quite naturally in the superheated vent fluids. This chemistry bridges the vast gap between rock and biology. The krill consume the tiny microbes that harvest these chemicals. This profound connection extends far beyond our own blue planet. Astrobiologists currently look at vent krill with intense academic interest. Moons like distant Europa and Enceladus harbor vast subsurface oceans. Thick crusts of solid ice seal off these alien seas. Sunlight absolutely cannot penetrate the miles of frozen surface ice. Yet gravitational friction heats their rocky interior planetary metal cores. Active hydrothermal vents likely exist beneath those alien ocean seas. Alien microbial life could easily flourish around those distant chimneys. If microbes exist down there, larger organisms might evolve too. Alien biological equivalents of the vent krill could swim there. They might swarm in the pitch-black extraterrestrial ocean waters. Our deep ocean serves as a truly perfect astrobiological laboratory. It proves that life requires only liquid water and energy. Solar radiation is absolutely not a strict prerequisite for biology. This realization greatly expands the boundaries of the habitable zone. The vast universe might be teeming with dark, hidden ecosystems. The humble vent krill secretly give us hope for cosmic neighbors. They are silent ambassadors from a truly alien terrestrial environment. Consider the quiet, peaceful majesty of their dark underwater realm. Miles beneath the crashing surface waves, a peaceful silence reigns. The violently destructive storms of the surface have no effect. Massive hurricanes pass overhead without disturbing the deep sea floor. The water temperature remains a constant, freezing 2 degrees Celsius. Only the localized geothermal heat of the vents brings warmth. Time moves quite differently in this pressurized, sunless aquatic world. Slow centuries pass while the geological chimneys slowly grow upward. The krill continue their endless, rhythmic swimming patterns totally undisturbed. They simply exist in a state of perpetual, calm motion. Their delicate little legs paddle through the mineral-rich water. The soft, gentle glow of bioluminescence occasionally breaks the darkness. Faint, invisible chemical trails guide them through the abyssal plains. They live in absolutely perfect harmony with the tectonic forces. The planet Earth breathes heat, and the krill simply follow. It is a wonderfully soothing cycle of energy and life. There is absolutely no hurry in the deep ocean trenches. Evolution progresses at a very slow, measured, and deliberate pace. The creatures here have totally mastered the art of patience. They peacefully wait for the Earth to provide their sustenance. We can easily learn from this quiet, resilient deep existence. The chaotic surface world is filled with noise and distraction. Up here, the frantic pace of modern life feels overwhelming. But down in the dark abyss, everything is wonderfully simple. The krill need only the steady warmth of the vents. They float totally weightless in the heavy, crushing ocean depths. The pressure supports them, keeping them in a gentle embrace. You can safely imagine yourself floating alongside these peaceful giants. Let the heavy salt water wash away your daily concerns. Sink slowly down into the comforting darkness of the abyss. The ocean completely absorbs all the stress of the day. Your mind can drift like krill in the slow currents. Feel the steady, deeply rhythmic pulse of the hydrothermal vents. It perfectly mirrors the slow, steady beating of your heart. Each slow breath you take draws you deeper into relaxation. The deep dark water is a blanket of absolute tranquility. There is absolutely nothing you need to do down here. There is simply nowhere else you need to be tonight. Just peacefully observe the gentle movements of the deep sea. The swarming krill form truly beautiful, mesmerizing patterns of life. Their perfectly synchronized swimming lulls the busy mind to sleep. Watch them slowly glide effortlessly through the warm thermal plumes. They rise and fall with the slow breathing of Earth. The midnight deep ocean is a sanctuary of profound peace. It has remained totally unchanged for millions of quiet years. You can rest securely in this ancient and slow rhythm. Let your racing thoughts dissolve into the vast, dark water. The many mysteries of the deep will wait for tomorrow. Now is the time for deep, restorative, and healing sleep. The long journey to the ocean floor is finally complete. We now leave the vent krill to their silent ballet. They will peacefully continue their endless dance in the dark. The deep hydrothermal vents will keep warming the freezing waters. Life will stubbornly persist in these remote and hidden ecosystems. The great abyss holds its secrets safely in the depths. You have personally witnessed the hidden wonders of our world. Carry this profoundly peaceful vision into your own quiet dreams. Let the slow, gentle ocean currents guide you toward slumber. The total weightlessness of the deep sea relaxes every muscle. Your breathing gradually slows to match the rolling ocean tides. The absolute darkness of the deep is comforting and safe. It gently wraps around you like a soft, heavy blanket. All lingering surface worries fade away into the distant miles. Only the incredibly calm silence of the deep sea remains. May your restorative sleep be as deep as the ocean. May your beautiful dreams be filled with quiet, floating wonders. The giant vent krill swim on in the peaceful night. The massive ocean continues its slow, eternal, and calming rotation. Rest exceptionally well in the quiet embrace of the abyss. Good night, my dear listener, and sleep in absolute perfect peace.